Have you touched on gentrification? Are you seeing that in all the different places you're traveling?
Absolutely. It's actually a very sad thing because we go into all of these black communities and we always see gentrification. So that is a conversation that comes up plenty when we are in these communities. And part of the Black Agenda, we will actually, we of course, our movement hasn't stopped, so we will be, continuing next year. But in January, we'll actually be going to Detroit and we will actually be going to Memphis to put together small practicing group economics. And we're going to talk about what sisters are going to do with them tax returns before they get them. We're going to bring some folks together with some money and we're going to figure out how to put our money together, whether it is collectively in a fund or whether it is that we individually buy something on the block. But our goal will be to buy one full block within that group in the Detroit area and also within Memphis.
Well, what's interesting is part of the people, you said economic warfare.
Yes.
And when I think of gentrification, I think about economic warfare. I believe, and I just hold to the fact that, your resources, your assets, your space is under attack, and it comes via policy. It comes in a lot of different fashions. But have you kind of broke that down and to the extent that people are understanding that, or are they resisting the idea that their space is under attack economically?
I think that they are receiving it. And when we talk about the economics, all of those ways of warfare, you will find that they all kind of go into each other because politics comes back to everything we talk about under that warfare. And then you talk about mental conditioning, all of that comes back in all of this warfare. So a lot of those intertwine. So when we do talk about the economical, warfare that we're under, we do talk about gentrification, but we also talk about how our businesses are run, how we're locked out of certain things. But I think the more important thing that we like to express is that we need to start to first, as I said, begin with ourselves. And there's a lot of ways when we give solutions at the Black Agenda where you can begin to look at your financial situation different. I say all the time, I'm not asking black people to find more money. I'm asking us to learn how to reallocate the money we already spend and spend it in a different way. And this is why we bring real solutions that are reasonable to the everyday man and woman. And this is why we're going to these places in January, because guess what? Tax returns are around the corner. And I'm tired of our people thinking, okay, well, we have to have a lot of money to buy our communities back to own property. But when sisters on average with 2 dependents are getting back, if you ain't been working that much, you're getting back in the hood all over $10,000 tax returns. Why 2 sisters can't get together? In Detroit, you can buy a home that's livable, ready to move in, 2-family flat for $15,000. So sister, if you do that, now you can stop paying rent where you are, and either you can live in your section of the 2-family, she can have hers, or you can rent it out on Airbnb. So see, this is the thing that we don't think about when we get our tax returns. These are simple solutions that every day that money is in our hand, but when we're concerned about that new set from Rent-A-Center, I'm gonna ask sisters to sit on the floor a little bit longer. When you're I'm serious, and on the floor. Forget the furniture, on the floor, and then we can worry about some Rent-A-Center. And so these are our reasonable solutions to our everyday issues that we have, but we don't see. I think part of our being attacked economically also comes back to mental conditioning, because we don't see the way we spend our money in the right ways. We don't find value in the stock market. So many black people are in prison for marijuana. So why don't black people have marijuana stocks left and right? If you've never bought a stock, let it be the first one.
Wow. Well, I could tell you, Mechee, it makes sense to me. But it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. It makes sense to me.
Let me say, I'm not here to get everybody, though. That's why I've not stressed myself out. I had to learn that.
Oh, okay. Can you give an example? I mean, you talked about the Rent-A-Center type situation. Other examples of what we're doing economically, because a lot of folks don't like black people, but they can't wait for Black Friday.
Absolutely.
To get them black dollars to help move that holiday shopping meter to keep them afloat. So black folks, even before they get those taxes, we are about to help undergird the profit margins of most of these major corporations.
Absolutely. Can we talk about the fact that in this country, $245 billion is spent on Christmas?
$245 billion.
$54 billion a year spent on tithes and offerings. 79% of all African Americans in this country are Christians, so most of that money comes from us. I break down tithes and offerings, and I break down all holidays. And what I tell people is, if you don't want to talk about the tax thing, let's talk about just simple holidays. Every other month there's a holiday. That's why the end caps in the store are called the end caps. That's where they capitalize. And before one thing is gone, they bring a new thing to the shelf. And what I like to tell people, something else that they can do, simple solution. Stop. I give them the history behind all of these holidays to show that it's really capitalism. A lot of them are not based in anything that they tell you it's based in. Some of them are actually celebrations of very devastating travesties in this country. And so when you put it that way and you teach people, I like to teach people, for as much money as you spend on these holidays, you know what you could do? Every single month that you're not celebrating a holiday, you can take that couple $100s, you can clean up your credit. If your credit is clean, guess what? In 2 years, you save that money you would have spent, and now you have a down payment on your first home. Guess what? If you own a home and you decide to take the money every month you would have spent on a holiday and you decide to put it towards the principal of your home loan, you can pay your house off 10 years sooner. If you have a 5-year car note, you can pay it off in 2 years. You can get you a life insurance policy. Let me tell you something. A life insurance policy, on average, if you stop celebrating these holidays, understanding that it's capitalism and it's just a way to condition you to get your money, it benefits you of nothing. And so understand that if you were able to do these different things with your money every month, you would get yourself out of a hole little by little, just like you are constantly putting rich people in a bigger mansion. You can dig yourself out of these holes if we look at our money in a different manner.
You know who knows that and practices it every day?
You?
No. Well, me. Yeah.
I celebrate no holidays.
No. The Jehovah's Witnesses. Folks don't like to answer them doors. They moving out the way when that watchtower and that wake come. But go celebrate a holiday with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
And be like, we not even recognizing your birthday, daughter.
Right.
I get it. They didn't fall for the okie doke.
They didn't.
I think that, is it fair to say that, Jesus don't need a PlayStation this December?
Well, let me tell you, let me say this really quickly about that holiday specifically, that I'm just going to step on a lot of toes right now. We gave a trigger alert, so hold your toes. But the truth of the matter is, first of all, if you're not a Christian, you should not be celebrating Christmas at all, first and foremost, right? Because that's supposed to be a holiday based on Jesus' birthday. Now, the next thing is, if you are a Christian, Christmas trees, lights, some fat white man coming down your chimney, and reindeers have nothing to do with that when it comes to religion. So if you really talk about the reality of this, there should be a whole lot less being spent on Christmas if you're going to make it about what it's about. And if you are not a Christian, you should not be practicing that religious holiday whatsoever. And if you are a part of that religion, you should be practicing it in the way that it shows justification to your Savior and their birthday, because you have incorporated a lot of capitalism that has nothing to do with Jesus' birthday.
And is there a way that we could celebrate it by perhaps taking care of our unhoused neighbors, or doing something that connects
what
with...
What would Jesus do?
Yeah, what would Jesus do?
Jesus want a PlayStation.
See, Jesus wants you to stop playing.
Right?
We got to give some love to Mechee X in the building. Mechee, so what has been your response? What are your takeaways? You come to the kind of the end of the last Black Agenda season,
yes,
and you're getting ready to kick off another one. What are your takeaways from the work that you've been doing thus far?
It's been, I'm really grateful. It's been a very moving experience. What I will say is, I watch Black people come together in many cities every other week as we're traveling, and they come together to do the work. The one thing I would say I'm the most grateful for, and I've sat back in awe, is watched how this movement has gone from a vision that I had, and it has truly turned into a movement. A real movement is something that is moved by the people. And at this point, we do sell tickets, but we take in a lot of donations because people just want to give. And once we have afforded to pay for everything, we actually open the door for donations only. And I will tell you that this tour would have stopped a long time ago had the people not stepped up to the plate and said, no, right, what you're doing is what we need, right, and we're not going to let this stop, because this is not your movement, Mechee. This is the people's movement, and we need this. And so for those that see the difference that we're making, they've actually picked up where they can. And I don't want to just say it's money. We get people who volunteer their services, from people who say, look, is there any legal work you need, because I'm an attorney. I know all about growing and herbs and look, I'll come and teach this class, and I have this information I can give you. I can help you organize in this structure. I can do your books for you. People just keep coming forward. And, we ask for money, but the truth of the matter is money only buys us what we need. We have so many people offering us what we need. Sometimes you don't even need the money. So when the people come together, and I've watched them bring their talents, their skills, their passion to the table with this movement is no longer about me. It's not about me at all. It's about the people. And so that has been the most humbling thing, the most moving and the most grateful thing, is to see that when you organize people right and you be genuine and real, right? Not that fake politics, you reach real genuine people, and then you watch how many of our people come forward with solutions, with ideas, with talents and things that they can offer to our freedom. They just didn't know it was necessary, and it has been a very moving experience in that, to see how great we can be when we come together.
How did this vision come along, and where do you get that passion? Like, where that drive, to hit all these different cities and to touch all the different individuals? Where did the passion, the vision, where's the origin of this come from?
Well, I would say that I've lived a life that has probably prepared me for this. I could go all the way back to when I was upset about watching Rodney King be beat at 12, and then later at 16 to meet Rodney King and to hear his story of how he really, all these years later didn't even get his first million, to, all of these things that have set in my mind that told me the sub wasn't right from the time I was a child, but all the way up to my own brother being murdered in a prison cell by the guards and being told it was suicide, although there's plenty of proof to show that it wasn't. But of course, nobody wants to listen to that. Who cares? A black boy died. We don't care, right? Down to my son being a part of the school to prison pipeline and being caught up in a crime that he did commit, but he didn't deserve the sentence that he got. And so that was probably the defining factor for me at one point, where I just felt very helpless as a mother, but I also felt very helpless as a black woman, and I knew what was going on, but I didn't know what to do about it. And I fell into a deep depression for about 2 years, and I sat in my room with the help of my mother helping me take care of my kids. And the truth is, out of a very dark place, I emerged with the Black Agenda, because what I refuse to do is sit back and allow this country to continue doing us the way that they do us. So I didn't go study all of these movements we had in the past, because I don't feel we've gotten where we need to be. I studied them as far as what did we do right, what did we do wrong, but what I studied was the enemy. You have to know your enemy. So I studied the enemy, and I wanted to know, how do they do what they do to us? And once you understand your enemy, then it's much easier to make a plan of counterattack. And then it's much easier to say, why, when this didn't work, I know why it didn't work, because I understand my enemy. And so when I came out of that room, with a plan. And that plan very much is to get free by any means necessary. And while people screaming reparations, I like another artist added in there, and it's called revenge. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to let us have what we want and just let us live peaceably in this country. There will come a time where we will have to fight to defend what we have built, if they allow us to build it again. And the question is, are we really ready for that? And so the Black Agenda, we're ready for that. We're ready to get our freedom by any means necessary. It won't be easy. It won't be pretty. Freedom ain't free. It's going to cost you something, and it may cost you everything, right? But at the end of the day, what I refuse to do is leave this to the next generation or the next generation. Somewhere we got to say enough is enough, and the warrior class have to stand up, and we have to take the freedom and stop asking for what we want. And that's going to cause a whole lot of problems when we start talking like that as a collective in this country.
Well, Mechee, one more time, how do they reach you?
Again, you can go to theblackAgendaMovement.com to check out everything going on with the Black Agenda. We do have a couple of events coming up in January. We will be practicing group economics, so we will be out in Detroit. Then we're going to Memphis to buy a block. If we can buy more, great, but we're going to start somewhere. That's what the white folks do. We're going to go back in and we're going to buy this land and stop letting them gentrify. That's how you stop it. Black folks, just go spend your money. You go buy the block back. Then they can't buy it. That's all you got to do. So that's what we're getting ready to do. But they can also text the word Black Agenda to 484848, and we'll text you to keep you updated with everything the Black Agenda. But if you would like to look up Mechee personally, I'm on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under Mecheex, Mecheex. Again, on YouTube, that is probably the platform I'm on the most. But right now, I won't say I'm taking a break. I'm just switching gears right now. I'm just doing something different. So I'll be back on YouTube in another week.
You all give a round of applause for Mecheex. Man, yeah!